A routine DUI checkpoint actually ended up netting a massive high-profile political figure. In the chaotic aftermath, my girlfriend became absolutely terrified that the political fallout would ruin her. So she ruthlessly dumped me without a single second thought, and immediately threw herself into the wealthy arms of the county party secretary's son. As for my own fate, everything went exactly as poorly as expected. I was instantly demoted, banished to a backwater rural township to guard a desolate reservoir. But right as I was drowning in bitter regret for personally destroying my own bright future, the hidden gears of destiny silently began to turn. That exact same night, the raw footage of my uncompromising textbook law enforcement action was uploaded to the internet by a public-spirited citizen, instantly skyrocketing to the absolute top of the viral trending charts. From that pivotal moment onward, my career hit the absolute fast track as I steadily scaled the bureaucratic ladder, climbing all the way to a prestigious bureau director level position in just a few short years. However, heaven always envies brilliant talents. During a catastrophic flood defense operation, while desperately trying to rescue trapped citizens who hadn't been evacuated in time, I was violently swept away and swallowed by the roaring, endless torrents of water. But the exact millisecond I opened my eyes once again, I realized I had been reincarnated back to that fateful DUI checkpoint night 8 long years ago. To my absolute surprise, it turned out my toxic ex-girlfriend had actually regressed as well. Thinking she was clever, she desperately wanted to hijack my destiny and steal my glorious future. And so, she eagerly stepped forward to volunteer for the DUI checkpoint duty directly from the detachment commander. But what this foolish woman completely failed to realize was that my meteoric rise to power in my previous life actually had absolutely nothing to do with that specific DUI bust. The ultimate life-changing golden opportunity unfolding tonight wasn't waiting at some roadside breathalyzer trap at all, but was completely tied to an entirely different woman. She was none other than the biological daughter of Tang Fengnian, the powerful deputy secretary of Jiangnan province. Her name was Tang Shuiyan, and on this exact stormy night, due to the treacherous, blinding blizzard conditions, her vehicle's tires completely lost traction on the icy road, plunging her straight into the freezing depths of the river, and cutting her young, promising life tragically short. Since the heavens have granted me this miraculous second chance at life, why on earth would I waste my time wasting breathalyzers on drunk drivers? Executing a high-stakes rescue operation is my absolute top priority right now. If I successfully save the beloved daughter of Elder Tang himself, I'll secure an absolute unshakable golden ticket straight into the highest echelons of political power. The absolute second the detachment commander barked out the order to deploy. Yang Jian, we are completely over. Let's break up. Why is there something I did wrong, or did I just not meet your expectations? Of course I'm putting on this pathetic, desperate act entirely on purpose. For starters, I absolutely cannot let a single soul suspect the reality of my rebirth, meaning the more dramatic and realistic my emotional performance is right now, the better. Secondly, I am highly amused and want to witness firsthand exactly how this toxic woman Suqin is going to conjure up as her brilliant, pathetic excuse to dump me. The absolute undeniable truth is that I am simply out of your league. In that case, I genuinely hope you end up with someone completely worthless in the future. I accept her absolute, abrupt declaration, with cold, unshakable finality. The primary reason for my compliance is that my countdown timer is already dangerously close to 0. In my previous life, Elder Tang's precious daughter veered off the road and plunged into the depths at approximately 8:30 p.m. on the dot. The dashboard clock is already flashing 7:45 p.m., and I am still physically over 10 long kilometers away from the designated accident scene, leaving me with absolutely zero margin for error. Dropping those parting words, I instantly pivot toward my vehicle, accelerating like an absolute madman straight toward the desolate suburban outskirts without a single backward glance, completely disregarding the blinding violent onslaught of the freezing rain and snow. Meanwhile, right on the slippery asphalt of the Mingyue Moat Bridge, Tang Shuiyan's luxury sedan abruptly loses total traction, spinning wildly out of control. Right at that exact heart-stopping millisecond, my rugged Santana fiercely roars onto the scene, pulling up perfectly parallel to her sliding chassis. Hey miss, has your vehicle completely lost its braking system? Roll your driver's side window down immediately. Yes, it has. Please save me. Lock your hands onto that steering wheel and maintain a straight trajectory. I'm going to intentionally ram my chassis against yours to grind you to a halt. Do you understand me? Okay. I'll do exactly what you say. Tang Shuiyan has already lost her absolute mind from pure unadulterated terror, leaving her to execute my loud commands like a frozen mindless drone. The instant Tang Shuiyan locks her steering wheel into a desperate steady line, a horrific deafening series of metallic screeching echoes across the concrete as our bodies collide, and under the crushing calculated compression of the concrete bridge pier and my vehicle, her runaway car is finally forced into a complete grinding halt. However, the impacted concrete structural pillar is already fracturing and swaying violently, on the absolute precipice of a total structural collapse. I launch myself out of the driver's seat like a bullet, unbuckling Tang Shuayan and ripping her out of the cabin into a firm protective hold. Tang Shuayan instantly, completely breaks down, weeping hysterically against my chest. I need to call my father right now. I desperately need to make a phone call. Take your time and operate your phone calmly. Don't panic, you are completely safe now. Right then, two ominous black sedans aggressively veer out of the dark, boxing us in from behind. Their original operational parameters were simply to shadow her movement from the shadows, ensuring this high society heiress of the Tang clan succumbed to a watery grave along with her vehicle without any external interference. They completely failed to calculate a random suicidal Good Samaritan crashing their perfect assassination plot, prompting a squad of masked black-clad operatives to deploy drawing heavy tactical batons as they charge. They aimed their lethal swing straight at the crown of my skull, intending to execute me on the spot. But I am already a step ahead, having anticipated their violent ambush from the very beginning, unleashing a devastating thunderous front kick. I send their lead operative flying backward through the air like a broken ragdoll, before systematically flattening the remaining thugs, dropping them like flies with one calculated punch after another. The getaway drivers, realizing their elite hit squad had been absolutely obliterated, instantly slammed on the gas, scooped up their bruised accomplices, and sped away into the night. Watching their exhaust trail fade, I make zero effort to pursue them. My absolute operational objective right now is simply to ensure that Tang Shuayan permanently burns the identity of her heroic savior into her mind. Dad, help me. I was brutally ambushed by dangerous thugs right here on the Mingyue Bridge. I've been in a horrific car accident. Please come save me right now. Overwhelmed by the biting freezing temperature and pure psychological trauma, her voice completely cuts off as she loses consciousness, collapsing into a dead faint. Shuayan, what on earth are you talking about? Shuayan, speak to me, what happened to you? My initial instinct is to snatch up the dropped smartphone and respond to the frantic father. But after a cold calculated second thought, I leave the device entirely untouched. If the level of absolute frantic desperation isn't pushed to its absolute threshold, the resulting depth of profound lifelong gratitude will simply never be strong enough. Having already survived a brutal, corrupt political lifetime, I understand this reality all too clearly. The cutthroat world of high-stakes politics isn't merely about basic social networking. It is driven by an endless calculating game of tactical maneuvers and psychological chess. Without wasting another millisecond, I hoist the unconscious Tang Shuayan into my vehicle, flooring the accelerator to sprint toward the absolute nearest medical emergency ward. The moment we storm into the hospital, the medical team hooks her up to an intravenous drip, and after 2 agonizing silent hours of waiting, Tang Shuayan finally begins to growl back to consciousness. Throughout this entire duration, I remained stationed like an unshakable guardian right by her bedside, refusing to compromise my post or leave her side for a single solitary second. Meanwhile, across the entire landscape of Linjiang, during those exact same 2 frantic hours, the heavens had completely collapsed, resulting in the absolute mobilization of the city's entire tactical police force. Tang Fengnian had personally issued a terrifying, uncompromising executive mandate. Even if they had to literally tear the entire city apart piece by piece, they must locate his missing daughter immediately. If a single permanent hair on his beloved child's head was harmed, every single official across all administrative levels would face absolute career termination and disciplinary ruin. During those 2 chaotic hours, it is safe to say that countless high-ranking bureaucrats had cold sweat continuously pouring down their foreheads. Every single bridge crossing, every single registered vehicle traveling through the sector, and every residential compound and medical clinic was being aggressively turned entirely upside down. Right at that peak moment of administrative panic, the heavy door to my specific hospital room is violently thrown open, revealing a massive political powerhouse at the threshold, including the Linjiang Municipal Party Secretary, the Political and Legal Affairs Commission Secretary, and even the elite provincial department chief, alongside the municipal bureau chief and a frantic squad of district chiefs. Finally charging through the center of the crowd is Tang Fengnian himself, his hair visibly graying at the temples, flanked by an elegant woman who appeared to be barely in her early 30s. She was none other than Liu Fengyi, a woman radiating pure aristocratic elegance. The absolute second, her eyes locked onto her fragile daughter lying in the medical ward. Hot, frantic tears came cascading down her pale cheeks. Witnessing this intense, emotionally vulnerable spectacle play out, I knew with absolute certainty that my high-stakes political gamble had completely paid off. Shuayan, my precious baby, are you alright? Did those monsters hurt you? Are you injured anywhere? Mom, I'm genuinely perfectly fine for the most part. I am so sorry for causing you and Dad such absolute heart-wrenching terror. As long as you are safe, nothing else matters. You are our one and only beloved daughter. If something catastrophic had happened to you, how could your father and I possibly go on living? Tang Shuayan was simultaneously hit by a delayed wave of absolute spine-chilling terror, which naturally made her feel an even more profound, overwhelming sense of gratitude toward the heroic savior who had materialized out of thin air. Mom! He is the absolute sole reason I am breathing right now. Is If he hadn't intervened, I would have literally died of pure fright on that bridge. Mom understands. Our entire household owes him a lifelong unpayable debt of absolute gratitude. Standing right beside them, the elite provincial department chief director Qi, alongside the powerful municipal party secretary of Linjiang, Secretary Zhao, and the rest of the high-ranking cohort. All let out a massive synchronized sigh of absolute relief upon hearing those words, given the catastrophic potential of tonight's high-stakes situation. If Deputy Secretary Tang Fengnian's beloved daughter had actually ended up dead, every single bureaucrat standing in this room would have had their political careers completely terminated. Once the frantic parents finally managed to steady their overwhelming emotions, they turned to me and executed a deep, profoundly respectful bow. My name is Tang Fengnian. I offer you my deepest, most sincere thanks, young man. You have quite literally saved the lives of my entire family tonight. I can see that you are still quite young. Yet, at the absolute critical climax of danger, you didn't hesitate for a single fraction of a second to put your life on the line to save another. This is truly exemplary. Tell me, what is your name, Uncle Auntie? My name is Yang Jian. Honestly, I merely did what any decent citizen would do under the circumstances. You really don't need to shower me with such immense praise. However, there is one minor issue. I was operating my department's official government vehicle tonight. The crisis was unfolding at such a frantic breakneck pace that in order to forcefully kill the runaway momentum of Miss Shuiyan's sliding sedan, I deliberately chose to utilize my own chassis to absorb the kinetic energy through a controlled collision. As a direct result, my department vehicle sustained some pretty severe structural damage, so I might ultimately require your kind cooperation down the line, to perhaps accompany me back to my operational headquarters, just to help explain the chaotic reality of the situation to my direct superiors. This was my absolute textbook masterpiece of psychological maneuvering. With this single seemingly innocent and humble request, I had smoothly signaled the fact that I was a fellow civil servant, already deeply embedded within the identical bureaucratic system, while simultaneously portraying myself as a naive, simple-minded rookie who was completely blissfully unaware of the terrifying god-tier political status of the powerful elites standing right in front of him. I used this precise psychological tactic to cement the absolute fact that my intervention was completely pure, rather than some meticulously manufactured coincidence. The high-ranking bureaucrats standing around the room instantly let out a light, synchronized chuckle upon hearing my words. You crazy kid! Do you have even the absolute slightest clue who is standing right in front of you? Going back to your department, if we actually went to your operational headquarters, the absolute reality is that your top boss would have to stand at the main entrance saluting for half a day, just to wait on your Uncle Tang to arrive. Rest assured, everything is perfectly fine, Yang Jian. Tell me, which specific operational department do you belong to? I am an active traffic officer assigned to the 3rd Battalion of the Haiming County Traffic Police Detachment, which operates directly under the jurisdiction of Linjiang City. Officer Yang Jiantia, I have completely taken note of your vehicle damage issue. I will personally escort you back to your operational headquarters to clear it up. Alright, perfect. Thank you so much for your trouble, Uncle Tang. I made absolutely sure not to let a single trace of shock show on my face, because according to basic logical principles, a low-ranking bottom-tier traffic cop with zero political standing would have absolutely zero reason to recognize the name or face of a provincial-level powerhouse. These top-tier political elites are naturally hyper-suspicious individuals who have spent decades witnessing overly orchestrated encounters, manufactured accidents, and toxic calculated run-ins. Therefore, I must execute a clean tactical retreat right now, which is the only bulletproof method to avoid triggering their paranoid suspicion. In this high-stakes game of political chess, the smallest details completely dictate total victory or failure. Young comrade, I see you even personally advance the funds for her emergency medical fees. Please, you must accept this banking card. Aside from covering the exact medical costs, this is a token of absolute profound appreciation from our entire household. Auntie, please, I absolutely cannot accept financial compensation for this. Go ahead and take it. Your auntie and I are offering this from the absolute bottom of our hearts. As the current heavy-hitting Deputy Secretary of Jiangnan Province, he was clearly entirely unwilling to remain indebted through such a massive, unpayable, life-saving favor. This was simply his own calculated, hyper-cautious method of managing the situation. A provincial-level powerhouse of his caliber could absolutely never allow himself to be shackled by a lingering debt of personal gratitude. But having survived 2 full lifetimes in the bureaucratic meat grinder, I knew exactly how to counter his move. Uncle Tang, if I actually force myself to pocket this money today, then I will truly suffer an absolute catastrophic loss. The moment those bizarre words slipped past my lips, a wave of pure shock and confusion instantly rippled across the entire room of officials, but none of them could have possibly anticipated that I would immediately flash a brilliant, charming grin and follow up with, "Think about it, Uncle Tang. If I don't take a dime, I can brag about my heroic Good Samaritan act for the rest of my life." and my direct superiors will undoubtedly award me an official commendation. But the exact second I accept your financial payout, I'll feel far too embarrassed to ever boast about this glorious achievement again. So if you look at it that way, wouldn't I be taking a massive loss? Won't I end up suffering a totally catastrophic absolute loss then? Heh, I'm just pulling your leg, of course. But in all seriousness, I truly just did what any decent human being would do. And as a proud civil servant myself, I am absolutely convinced that even an ordinary citizen, upon witnessing such a life-threatening crisis, would have stepped forward to save her life without a single second thought. The very instant those flawless words echoed through the room, every single official present looked at me with immense visible admiration. Not only did I seamlessly decline the financial payout, but I also brilliantly made the entire civil service collective look absolutely immaculate and heroic. Naturally, the high-ranking leaders were beaming with absolute satisfaction. Excellent, Officer Yang Jian. Allow me to extend our family's profound gratitude to you once again. Please take my personal private business card. The absolute second Shuyan is formally discharged from this hospital. You must visit our residence. Our entire household will host a private banquet in your honor. Surely you won't turn down this invitation, right? Understood, Uncle Tang. In that case, I will most definitely arrive right on time. Right at that exact pivotal millisecond, Tang Feng Nian's secure smartphone abruptly began vibrating violently. What did you just say? The deputy mayor in charge of foreign investment attraction has actually fled the jurisdiction to escape prosecution. The moment he terminated the call, Tang Feng Nian was practically radiating pure apocalyptic fury. He immediately issued a stone-cold directive to Director Qi, ordering a full-scale tactical manhunt to intercept the fleeing deputy mayor Ding Fuzhen. The very instant that specific name crossed his lips, my mind instantly flashed back to the notorious profile of Ding Fuzhen, the corrupt, heavy-hitting deputy mayor of Linjiang City. In my previous life, this man was an absolute cancer in the political system, leveraging his supreme authority over massive commercial development projects. He systematically engaged in deep illicit collusion with shady corporate syndicates, bleeding state assets entirely dry to line his own filthy pockets. However, my memories of that previous timeline remained absolutely crystal clear. This slick politician didn't actually slip past the border's security net tonight. The individual drawing the police heat tonight was merely a highly paid decoy body double. Realizing the structural truth of the situation, a wave of calculated hesitation washed over me. Should I step in and drop a subtle tactical hint to Tang Fengnian right now? From Tang Fengnian's political perspective, pinning down this corrupt, degenerate Ding Fuzhen was an absolute make-or-break operation. If a massive whale like Ding Fuzhen successfully escaped the dragnet, the remaining pack of bureaucratic vultures would effortlessly slide under the radar and achieve total immunity. With his political adversaries securing a flawless escape, his entire institutional leverage would completely vanish into thin air. Secretary Tang, I am deeply sorry to report. We have just received intelligence confirming that the United Airlines commercial flight carrying Ding Fuzhen has already taken off, making a standard domestic interception completely impossible at this stage. Then issue an emergency directive to have the international airport gridlocked immediately. That is physically impossible, Secretary Tang. We absolutely do not share any functional extradition treaties covering active United Airlines flights. Excuse me, Uncle Tang, would you mind if I shared a quick observation regarding this matter? Tang Fengnian momentarily froze in sheer surprise, solely out of deep respect for the heroic savior who had preserved his beloved daughter's life. And despite currently being at the absolute boiling point of pure administrative fury, he still patiently gestured for me to accompany him out into the quiet hospital corridor. What is on your mind, Yang Sig? Uncle Tang, based on the tactical breakdown you all just discussed regarding Deputy Mayor Ding Fuzhen, supposedly executing a clean escape via a commercial international flight. I strongly believe that scenario is an absolute logical impossibility. The top brass haven't even handed down a definitive official warrant for his immediate arrest yet, even if he is fully aware that his massive financial crimes are completely unforgivable. There is absolutely zero reason for him to abruptly take such a reckless, high-risk gamble. Furthermore, launching an overt escape to evade prosecution is equivalent to actively painting a target on his own back. The absolute second he gets intercepted, he loses every single shred of legal leverage or survival margin. A calculating rational mastermind would absolutely never operate this way. What exactly are you implying by that? What is your professional analytical assessment of his true movements? I am highly confident that this entire international flight narrative is a massive smokescreen. The true target is highly likely still physically embedded right here inside the borders of Linjiang City. Utilizing a completely forged identity or broadcasting engineered disinformation are standard tactical maneuvers. Biding his time until the initial investigative heat completely blows over before executing an actual escape, while keeping his actual physical body deeply hidden in the shadows, is the only strategic playstyle that aligns with an intellectual criminal of his caliber. Based on my crystal clear memories from my previous lifetime, I recalled with absolute certainty that Ding Fuzhen's actual physical form had successfully remained concealed inside a low-profile, run-down motel in Linjiang for a staggering duration of over 3 full months. And as fate would have it, that exact dingy establishment was located in a desolate, forgotten alleyway just a short distance from my family's own residence. Operating under the parameters of your specific analytical theory, if the decoy body double has successfully drawn away our pursuit, where exactly do you hypothesize his true body would be hidden? In the absolute blind spot of our vision, because the single most dangerous location is always the absolute safest sanctuary imaginable. Uncle Tang. I strongly recommend establishing a tight operational grid centered directly around his primary registered residence, sweeping a localized radius of approximately 3 kilometers. And what psychological metric are you using to justify this precise analytical perimeter? The fundamental vulnerabilities of human nature. Brilliant, what an absolute masterpiece of psychological profiling. Establish an ironclad operational perimeter centered directly on Ding Fujin's primary registered residence, expanding the tactical sweep to a full radius of 5 kilometers. Tear the entire sector completely upside down if you must, and aggressively cross-reference every single individual one by one. Furthermore, there is one final critical matter I must report, Uncle Tang. Miss Shuiyan's harrowing ordeal tonight was absolutely not a random vehicular accident. Her luxury sedan was actively being shadowed by hostile surveillance elements for a considerable duration. The absolute second I dragged her out of the crash site, those masked thugs charged straight at us violently, intending to execute us both on the spot. Connecting the tactical dots, I strongly suspect their primary objective was to orchestrate a total loss of vehicular control, forcing her chassis to plunge straight off the bridge into the freezing river below, leaving Miss Shuiyan to drown locked inside a watery grave. Just moments ago, I was deeply concerned about triggering a severe panic attack in Miss Shuiyan, which is the absolute sole reason I withheld this critical intelligence until now. Did you physically witness the faces of that hostile elimination squad? I witnessed them clearly and even engaged them in direct hand-to-hand combat. However, given the breakneck high-stakes nature of the unfolding crisis, my absolute priority had to remain focused on preserving her life at all costs, preventing me from successfully neutralizing and detaining them on site. I completely understand the situational reality now. You must absolutely visit our private residence once this storm passes. Please provide me with your personal mobile number as well. I will personally coordinate our administrative schedules and reach out to you. I immediately retrieved my smartphone from my pocket, dialing the direct line seamlessly printed across his elite business card. Is this the central command desk of the Linjiang Municipal Public Security Bureau? This is Provincial Committee Deputy Secretary Tang Fengnian speaking. Initiate an absolute comprehensive tactical investigation into the catastrophic vehicular collision on Mingyue Bridge that transpired over the course of this evening, along with a full forensic sweep of all passing vehicles and civilian movement metadata. You must aggressively uncover the absolute truth behind this conspiracy. Execute this directive with maximum velocity. I'm explicitly warning you not to compromise this critical operational window. The absolute millisecond Tang Fengnian terminates the high-stakes call. I formally present my respectful exit notifications to the provincial powerhouse. After all, at this exact juncture, my primary strategic objectives have been flawlessly achieved. At the absolute crack of dawn, the very next morning, our official internal department chat network exploded with a piece of monumental, earth-shattering insider intelligence. During the absolute dead of night, the active deputy mayor of Linjiang City, Ding Fujin, was successfully ambushed and arrested red-handed inside a low-profile rundown motel. The moment Tang Fengnian received the official confirmation of the capture, even a seasoned political titan of his caliber was completely left in absolute awe. Secretary Tang, your analytical foresight is truly legendary, completely akin to a literal god. That corrupt degenerate Ding Fuzhen actually managed to manufacture a flawless synthetic identity, deploying an elite decoy body double to simulate a clean escape on an international commercial flight, while keeping his actual physical body deeply hidden right in our absolute blind spot. If it hadn't been for your timely, brilliant tactical warning, our entire multi-agency search vector would have been completely compromised and derailed by that absolute bastard smokescreen. The mastermind who flawlessly anticipated this psychological maneuver wasn't me. Secretary Tang, if it wasn't you, then who on earth orchestrated this brilliant trap? Do you happen to recall? That young officer Yang Jian who single-handedly rescued my daughter from the river last night? If that is the absolute reality of the situation, Secretary Tang, then this young kid is a truly terrifying, once-in-a-generation strategic prodigy. Indeed, despite his remarkably young age and lack of formal bureaucratic seniority, he possesses an absolute master-level comprehension of the deep complexities of human psychology, allowing him to deliver a flawlessly precise structural analysis. We old-timers have been grinding in the political trenches for half our lives, yet we completely overlooked the most classic blind spot in the book. Secretary Tang, Director Key, I am here to formally present the intelligence brief. Regarding the specific details of last night's vehicular ambush on Mingyue Bridge, two unidentified sedans had been aggressively tracking Ms. Tang Shuiyan's vehicle for a considerable distance. Furthermore, based on our forensic sweep and technical analysis of the primary target vehicle's wreckage, the mechanical systems had been maliciously sabotaged beforehand. The perpetrators behind the vehicular sabotage and the hit squad who actively engaged Ms. Shuiyan after the crash belonged to the exact same Black Ops mercenary unit. We have successfully detained the entire squad, Aikot. But the reality is that these operatives have sustained catastrophic near-lethal injuries. Two of them had their ribcages completely shattered. Another sustained a violently fractured collarbone. And the one who took the absolute worst of the assault had his skull literally cracked open. He is currently in a deep critical coma. Honestly, if they hadn't been so thoroughly neutralized beforehand, there is no way our tactical units could have rounded them up so effortlessly. What? Give me the exact numbers. Across two vehicles, there were 6 operatives total. 5 of them were left critically mangled. And the sole outlier was the getaway driver who never actually stepped out of his chassis. Are you implying that the single individual responsible for this absolute massacre was that kid Yang Jian? Highly likely, sir. How on earth is he that insanely lethal? A low-ranking traffic cop pulling off a 1 versus 5 clutch play, leaving a squad of hardened mercenaries completely crippled, while he casually walks away from the carnage without a single scratch. This absolutely defies all conventional tactical logic. 七招动静though? Could either of you two survive a 1 versus 5 ambush against elite operatives? Give me an honest, unvarnished operational assessment. Secretary Tang, under standard combat conditions, it is theoretically possible. But if we are talking about unhinged, cornered criminals who fight to the death, to be completely frank, we definitely don't possess that level of raw lethality. Then it is official, we have stumbled upon an absolute diamond in the rough. Bureau Chief Zhao, I want you to personally deploy to the 3rd Battalion of the Huaiming County Traffic Police Detachment. Dig up everything on this Yangjian construct, a flawless background dossier, and deliver it directly to my office the second it is compiled. Granted, a traffic cop is still technically part of the police force, but if he truly possesses this kind of elite, terrifying combat prowess, leaving him to rot in a traffic precinct is an absolute waste of god-tier talent. Meanwhile, I had just awoken from the most blissful, deeply satisfying night of sleep in ages, because I knew with absolute undeniable certainty that the gears of my destiny were finally beginning to fiercely spin. So completely energized and feeling absolutely ecstatic, I headed out to start my morning shift. The exact second I walked through the main doors of the traffic precinct, my fellow colleague and absolute ride-or-die best friend Zhao Hu abruptly dragged me into a secluded corner of the office. Bro, have you heard the insane news yet? The literal sky has collapsed on us. During a routine DUI checkpoint late last night, your girlfriend Su Qing actually flagged down and detained an absolute god-tier political powerhouse. Right now, our entire 3rd Battalion is in a state of absolute chaotic meltdown. The captain has already bolted straight to the branch bureau to urgently brief the top brass. Exactly what kind of political powerhouse are we talking about? Under standard operating procedures, the moment an elite figure flashes their official government credentials, you casually let them slide. But honestly, the wildest part about last night was how utterly unhinged and uncompromising Su Qing was acting. She went completely savage mode, stubbornly refusing to let him drive away under any circumstances. It was as if she had completely lost her damn mind, and absolutely nobody could hold her back. Now that the violation has been formally logged into the central network, she has opened up a catastrophic, apocalyptic can of worms. Whether this turns out to be a massive blessing or total career ruin is honestly anyone's guess. Wait, what the hell? Why are you acting so completely unbothered right now? And why exactly should I be terrified? Are you serious when a high-stakes mess of this magnitude inevitably blows up in your face? You get stripped of your badge and banished to guard some desolate middle-of-nowhere reservoir. Bro, we both came from absolutely nothing. Clawing our way into this official government structure was an uphill battle we barely survived. As of yesterday morning, she and I have officially permanently broken up. Therefore, whatever catastrophic drama she manages to manifest for herself has absolutely completely zero to do with me. But the thing is, I literally crossed paths with Su Qing earlier this morning. Not only was she not showing a single microscopic shred of anxiety, but she was practically glowing with pure unadulterated joy. It was as if she had just hit the absolute ultimate lottery or something. Don't you think that is incredibly suspicious? Drop the pointless gossip, man. It has absolutely nothing to do with either of us anymore. Just keep your head down and focus on doing your job. Hey, I'm only tracking this because I was stressed that the breakup would leave you completely broken. Trust me, your boy has already completely moved on. When the clock finally struck noon and it was time for lunch, the absolute millisecond I stepped into the cafeteria, people started whispering and pointing at me. Locking my eyes onto the courtyard outside to see what the hype was about, I finally clocked it. Parked right in front of the cafeteria entrance was a breathtaking brand new luxury sports car. Standing right beside the exotic chassis was a remarkably young, wealthy, and handsome guy, Kipkia. And the exact second Suching locked eyes with him, she literally sprinted and threw herself into his arms. Taking a much closer, highly calculated look at the spectacle, the absolute reality was unfolding precisely like my previous lifetime. The absolute second she had kicked me to the curb, this gold-digging woman immediately made a flashy public announcement, flexing her new romantic relationship with the deputy director of the Huaiming County Government Office, Zhang Kong. However, there was still one glaring logical paradox that completely baffled my mind. If Su Qing had genuinely been reincarnated back into the past alongside me, she should possess the absolute undeniable knowledge that in our previous timeline, Zhang Kong's powerful father, Disciplinary Committee Secretary Zhang Shusheng, was destined to be thoroughly investigated, stripped of power, and thrown straight behind cold iron bars. Hey Yang Jian, allow me to formally introduce my brand new boyfriend, Zhang Kong. Babe, this is the exact guy I told you about. The absolute loser who desperately begged and relentlessly pursued me for 3 years straight throughout college, though I never once gave him the time of day. Ah, so this is that pathetic ex of yours. Well, the kid looks sharp enough, I suppose. Tell me, what did you say your name was again? You crazy bastard, do you have any actual clue what kind of massive trouble you've brought down on yourself? Captain Jiang, why on earth are you suddenly acting so incredibly stressed out? I haven't broken any laws. Just moments ago, top-level operatives from the municipal bureau stormed into our precinct, and without uttering a single word of explanation, seized every single shred of your personal files and service records, based on my decades of experience in the department. A high-stakes anomaly like this means only one of two extreme outcomes. Either you're getting a historic promotion or you're getting locked away in a federal penitentiary. And looking at the odds, you are almost 80% guaranteed to be absolutely finished. Last night, you completely totaled our precinct's official patrol vehicle. You clearly triggered a catastrophic wreck, didn't you? You had better start spilling the absolute unvarnished truth to me right now. Were you driving under the influence, or is there an even darker conspiracy you're hiding? I'm explicitly warning you, kid. Securing a permanent iron rice institutional position in this economy is no small feat. So don't you dare ruin your entire life over a moment of pure stupidity. If you confess the absolute truth to me right this second, I might still possess enough political leverage to salvage your career. Hearing his frantic barrage of warnings far from being even slightly intimidated, my heart instantly erupted into absolute ecstatic triumph, because this was the undeniable definitive signal that Tang Fengnian's god-tier political machinery had formally begun to grind. Captain Zhang Lei had always looked out for me like an older brother in our daily shifts, but in our previous lifetime, Zhang Lei had barely spent 2 months celebrating his major promotion to Deputy Director of the County Transportation Bureau, before being brutally framed, taking a massive fall for his superiors, and getting dragged off to a cold prison cell in this new timeline. I will absolutely never allow that tragic history to repeat itself. I swear to you on my badge, Captain Jiang, there are zero illicit cover-ups. Last night, I did indeed get involved in a rather severe vehicular impact, but Uncle Tang explicitly assured me that he would personally coordinate with you to explain the structural reality of the crisis. And who the hell is this mysterious Uncle Tang supposed to be? I haven't seen a single high-profile individual step through my doors to offer a statement. Right at that exact high-voltage millisecond, Zhang Lei's desk phone suddenly erupted into a violent, piercing ring. He rapidly grabbed the receiver and frantically bolted out of the room, and judging by the incredibly grim, stone-cold expression plastered across his face, he had almost certainly just been contacted by an absolute titan of the political sphere. At that exact identical slice of time, Municipal Bureau Chief Zhao Dong had already personally escorted my comprehensive service dossier straight into the high-security office of Provincial Committee Secretary Tang Fengnian. Secretary Tang, your tactical instincts were absolutely flawless. This young kid's background record is incredibly stellar. He was raised entirely within the confines of a local orphanage, relying solely on community charity grants to claw his way through a university education, before seamlessly transitioning from college straight into the active military ranks. The absolute second he wrapped up his service, he intensely hyper-focused on preparing for the civil service exam, crushing the competitive bracket on his very first attempt. His track record during his military deployment was equally god-tier. His physical and tactical combat metrics are entirely off the charts, having earned 3 separate personal Class II meritorious service medals, alongside 2 distinct collective Class II commendations. An elite battle-hardened asset of this caliber. If he were to be formally integrated directly into our municipal bureau, I could effortlessly fast-track him to a Deputy Section Chief rank on day 1. Furthermore, I would immediately install him into a core administrative leadership track, granting him a direct promotion and maximum operational deployment. Cut the crap and shut your mouth, Zhao Dong. You're putting on quite the theatrical performance right now. I can literally hear you plotting your slick little calculation from a mile away. My directive for you to retrieve his background dossier was absolutely not meant to provide your precinct with premium tactical talent. I'm onboarding him specifically for my own strategic operations. He is completely off limits to you. Secretary Tang, I was merely floating a casual suggestion. Zhao Dong was actually a deeply loyal protege whom Tang Fengnian had personally mentored years ago, while they strictly maintained professional titles during formal operations. Behind closed doors, he always reverently addressed him as master. Because of this profound bond, trading a few light-hearted jests in private spaces was a regular occurrence between them. As for exactly how this asset will be deployed, I already possess a master plan in motion. Regarding the hostile hit squad that ambushed Shuyan last night, have your investigators definitively identified the true puppet master calling the shots? We have mapped out the entire network. The sinister conspiracy traces straight back to the malicious machinations of the Hesheng group. Them again, that predatory corporate syndicate has monopolized Linjiang for far too long, extorting local businesses, aggressively swallowing up state assets, and committing heinous criminal atrocities with an absolutely shocking level of impunity. Yet, despite our best efforts, the identity of the supreme political shielding protecting them from the shadows remains an absolute mystery that we have failed to penetrate to this very day. But now they have actually dared to launch a lethal strike against my own flesh and blood. Since they have chosen to escalate this into an all-out war, I see absolutely no tactical reason for us to continue waiting around in passive stagnation. Zhao Dong, I am officially ordering you to immediately orchestrate an all-out decapitation strike operation, target the Hesheng group, and dismantle every single last one of their illicit, crime-ridden business enterprises, until their entire corporate empire is completely systematically crushed. As for any syndicates or individuals tied to their mafia-style thuggery and violent underworld intimidation, unleash the full crushing weight of the law to permanently neutralize them. Your operational execution must be lightning fast. Understood, Secretary Tang. I will instantly coordinate our tactical units and draft a comprehensive raid strategy to sweep up every single conspirator implicated in this heinous assassination plot, ensuring they are all thoroughly dealt with. The second the operational brief is finalized, I will present it to you for a formal sign-off. Excellent. Furthermore, as for this kid, Yang Jian, I have already mapped out his specific placement. Copy that, Secretary Tang. I will take my leave and initiate the protocol immediately. Shuyan, what a pleasant surprise. Why is my precious daughter calling her dad at this hour? Dad, when exactly do you plan to officially invite Yang Jian over to our private residence for a proper dinner? I still haven't had a real opportunity to properly express my deep gratitude to my savior. Besides, I actually have one of his personal belongings that he accidentally left behind at the hospital. I figured this dinner would serve as the absolute perfect opportunity to return it to him. While your old man was simply trying to be considerate, wanting to ensure that you as the primary survivor could thank him face to face in peak condition. I was planning to lock down the dinner schedule the second you get formally discharged from the ward. Oh, I've already officially discharged myself from the hospital early this morning. It really wasn't that big of a deal anyway. And come on, Dad, I'm a hardened government cadre myself now. There's no way I'm that fragile. All right. Then let's lock it down for this very evening. Go ahead and give your mother a quick call to let her know. And I will personally reach out to extend the formal invitation to Yang Jian. How does that sound? That sounds absolutely perfect, Dad. Then it is officially a done deal. Make sure you wrap up your meetings and head back home early tonight. No problem at all. When Tang Shuyan was finalizing her discharge paperwork early this morning, she had accidentally discovered a dark green jade safety buckle amulet sitting right on her hospital bed. The surface was elegantly engraved with the single character for Yang, leaving zero doubt in her mind that it was a personal artifact I had dropped during the chaotic rescue. She naturally intended to leverage this prime opportunity to return the precious heirloom to me. To be completely honest, this specific jade amulet is the sole remaining artifact tied directly to the mystery of my biological bloodline, carrying an absolute monumental significance in my life. In my previous lifetime, even after I successfully climbed the bureaucratic ranks to become deputy mayor, I still utterly failed to uncover the truth regarding who my actual biological parents were, leaving a gaping, agonizing void that haunted my entire existence. The absolute moment I wrapped up my grueling shift for the day, I was just heading over to search the precinct's patrol vehicle for my missing jade safety buckle. But as absolute fate would have it, the world is a spectacularly small place, and I crossed paths with Zhang Kang and Su Qing right there in the middle of the parking lot. At that exact moment, Zhang Kang was intensely interrogating Captain Zhang about something. I mean seriously, Captain Zhang. How on earth did one of your precinct's patrol cruisers get so completely catastrophically mangled? So, exactly which brainless idiot is responsible for this wreck? It was merely an accidental minor collision involving one of our active duty officers. The official paperwork has already been processed through standard repair protocols. Oh, come on, wasn't this absolute disaster caused by that pathetic loser in your unit named Yang? John, let's be completely real here. When this catastrophic impact went down, was he actually executing a legitimate high-stakes tactical mission? Or was he illegally joyriding on the taxpayer's dime for his own private business? Zhang Kong was entirely deliberately orchestrating this toxic confrontation out of pure malice, solely to flex his minor bureaucratic authority, and put on a flashy alpha male performance to impress Su Qing. Consequently, Zhang Kong didn't give a single solitary damn about preserving Zhang Lei's professional dignity. Right at that exact high-voltage millisecond, I casually strolled into the scene, and seeing my physical arrival caused Zhang Kong to escalate his obnoxious arrogance to a whole new level. Let me make one thing entry clear to you, Captain Jiang. Illegally hijacking official service vehicles for private use resulting in severe vehicular destruction is a toxic, corrupt trend that the higher-ups are aggressively determined to crush. When it comes to severe institutional misconduct, it doesn't matter who the culprit is. The individual responsible must be forced to take absolute financial and legal accountability, rather than exploiting public resources for private benefit, by forcing your precinct's official budget to foot the bill for their incompetence. Hey, Yang Jian, why don't you look your captain dead in the eye and give us a realistic explanation right now? Exactly where the hell were you joyriding when you took this vehicle out? What triggered such a violent, mangled collision? And who exactly gave a low-tier grunt like you the supreme authority to process repairs through the precinct's budget? Do you honestly mistake this entire traffic enforcement battalion for your own personal kingdom? But before I could even utter a single syllable to humiliate him, Zhang Lei, who was standing right beside me, could no longer contain his explosive raging fury. Exactly how this specific vehicle navigates our internal maintenance protocols is an absolute, strictly confidential matter of our 3rd Battalion's internal operations. Whether Comrade Yang Jian's vehicular deployment constituted a high-stakes tactical mission directly ties into highly sensitive classified operational arrangements within our division. According to our strict ironclad institutional confidentiality protocols, we are absolutely under zero obligation to explain our tactical movements to a minor clerk like you. If Director Zhang harbors some deep personal grievances regarding this administrative matter, or wishes to offer his elite advice, you are more than welcome to file a formal complaint with the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Now tell me, do you possess any other pressing institutional inquiries? Director Zhang, after all, Zhang Lei had survived the brutal trenches of the political system for decades. Compared to him, a rookie like Zhang Kong had barely tasted a few drops of real power. Those sharp, venomous words instantly left Zhang Kong completely flushed with pure suffocating humiliation, rendering him entirely speechless and utterly paralyzed. Capitalizing on his absolute tactical advantage to deliver a final crushing blow, Zhang Lei sharply shifted his cold, piercing gaze directly towards Su Qing. Su Qing, right now, we are well within official operational hours. Have you actually completed every single assignment currently on your plate? Exactly 30 minutes from now, I expect to see your comprehensive performance log from the previous quarter sitting directly on my office desk. Hearing this aggressive reprimand, Su Qing's face instantly flushed a violent crimson, leaving her completely paralyzed and utterly unable to mutter a single pathetic excuse. Zhang Kong's expression, meanwhile, turned completely chillingly ash-gray as he spat out. Come on, Captain Jiang, I didn't mean anything malicious by it. But before he could even attempt to spin the narrative any further, Zhang Lei simply executed a cold pivot and walked straight out of the area, refusing to grant him even a single microscopic shred of unearned respect. Now that Zhang Lei had utterly vanished from the scene, he immediately redirected his overflowing toxic fury entirely onto me. You pathetic little grunt. It seems like you've managed to form quite the cozy corrupt alliance with your captain, huh? Exactly how heavy of a bribe did you slip him? Whether I've engaged in bribery or not is a total mystery. But as for Disciplinary Committee Secretary Zhang Shusheng, who happens to be your biological father, and whether he's been taking massive corporate kickbacks and under-the-table bribes, well, let's just say there is absolutely no such thing as an airtight conspiracy in this city. What the absolute hell did you just say? You are spouting completely unhinged, slanderous garbage right now. Do you honestly think I won't beat you to a bloody pulp right here, you piece of trash? Whoa, let's not get our blood pressure up, Director Zhang. As for whether I am merely spouting unhinged, slanderous garbage or not, why don't you head straight back home and run it past Secretary Zhang yourself? Tian Pingyu, the ultra-wealthy CEO of Linjiang's notorious Tianyu Real Estate Group. He's been paying quite a staggering number of late-night visits to your family estate these past few days, hasn't he? A single untraceable black bank card packed with a staggering 1.6 million in cold hard cash. The exact millisecond those forbidden details echoed through the air, Zhang Kong's entire facial expression underwent a massive horrified distortion. His mind was completely racing. How on earth could this low-tier loser possess top-secret intel on a conspiracy of this magnitude? He even knows the precise down-to-the-penny black market figures. A completely insignificant bottom-of-the-barrel traffic cop shouldn't have a single clue about these elite operations. In absolute reality, my tactical strike had hit dead center. The real estate tycoon Tian Pingyu had practically moved into their private family mansion over the course of the past few days. Consequently, Zhang Kang's complexion grew increasingly pale and intensely grim. Listen to me very carefully, Young Jin. You can gorge yourself on whatever garbage you want, but you had better watch your damn mouth when you speak on elite names. Sometimes spouting unhinged nonsense will get you permanently erased from the board. Huh, you're absolutely right, Director Zhang. I was merely throwing out some casual, completely random gossip. There's absolutely no reason for you to take it to heart. Zhang Kang was instantly driven into an absolute raging frenzy, forced to just watch helplessly as I casually, arrogantly strolled right past him and walked away, his fist reflexively clenching so hard his knuckles turned white. Meanwhile, the exact second I stepped back into the relative quiet of the office, my personal smartphone violently erupted into life. Glancing down at the incoming caller ID, an absolute wave of ecstatic triumph washed over me. It was none other than the personal line of the supreme powerhouse Tang Fengnian himself. Greetings, Uncle Tang. Pleasure speaking with you. This is Yang Jian. Ah, Young Yang, why don't you come over to the house tonight for a family dinner? How is your personal schedule looking for this evening? That sounds absolutely perfect, Uncle Tang. I will absolutely make sure to arrive precisely on time. Excellent. Let's lock it in for 6 o'clock p.m. tonight. The location is Villa number 2 within the elite Zishu Manors. You can cruise straight through security and come right on over. Understood, copy that, Uncle Tang. By the time the clock struck 5:30 p.m. in the late evening, I had grabbed a few premium health supplements and traditional gifts before frantically rushing to the estate. The entire luxury compound consisted strictly of massive standalone mega mansions, and the main perimeter gates were heavily fortified with elite armed guards standing vigilant watch, exuding an incredibly oppressive aura of supreme political power. The exact millisecond I stepped into the house, I formally presented my courtesy gifts to Tang Fengnian. Now, Tang Fengnian possessed an absolute ironclad reputation for never accepting a single bribe or token from anyone. Yet, completely breaking his lifelong protocol, he casually accepted the specific offerings I brought. Observing this shocking anomaly from the kitchen where she was preparing the feast, Liu Fengyi was utterly blown away and left profoundly astonished by the unprecedented gesture. Wow, it seems my husband is genuinely exceptionally fond of this young Yang kid. Tell me, do you know how to play the strategic game of Go? I merely possess a modest basic understanding of the mechanics. In reality, Tang Fengnian was famously, fanatically obsessed with the game of Go. In my previous lifetime, solely to secure the patronage of this absolute titan, I had intentionally enrolled myself in elite professional masterclasses to perfect my skills. Tang Fengnian, commanding me to join him at the game board, was undeniably a calculated psychological test to dissect my cognitive capabilities and tactical temperament through the match. Consequently, I possessed absolute confidence to custom tailor my strategy and play right into his expectations. In a matter of moves, I effortlessly put on a masterclass showcasing my god-tier logical processing, alongside a deeply meticulous, flawlessly calculating psychological composure. The more pieces we traded, the more Tang Fengnian's face beamed with pure, unadulterated satisfaction. This brilliant young man was undeniably a rare generational talent waiting to be molded. Now that fate had delivered such a flawless, battle-ready 20-something elite asset right into his operational sphere. Some of his most deep-seated political schemes and shadow chess moves could finally systematically begin to unravel across the province. Before much longer, Tang Shuiyan casually returned home from her day, and the resulting dinner feast was an absolute masterpiece of exquisite culinary colors, aromas, and flavors. Everyone around the table dined in an incredibly joyous, high-spirited atmosphere. Midway through the banquet, the 3 family members jointly hoisted their crystal glasses in a synchronized toast, formally expressing their profound eternal gratitude for the life-saving heroism I had displayed. To my absolute shock, even Tang Fengnian himself drained an entire glass of liquor to show his deepest respect, leaving me profoundly overwhelmed and deeply humbled by the sheer magnitude of the honor. The absolute millisecond the dining session drew to a formal close, Tang Fengnian, with a deeply solemn, unreadable expression, commanded me to follow him straight into his private study. Young Jin, the conversation we are about to engage in right now is of the absolute highest, most critical severity. I need you to open your ears and listen to every single syllable very carefully. Through the comprehensive evaluations and deep character assessments we've conducted on you during this window, you have proven yourself to be an exceptionally brilliant rare prospect. Keeping you trapped down in the traffic enforcement division is an absolute waste of your true potential. I don't view it as a waste at all, Uncle Tang. No matter what rank or position I occupy, my sole mission is to selflessly serve the people. Cut the crap. The very second you addressed me as Uncle Tang, it meant you officially entered my inner circle. So cut the corporate politics and stop spouting empty slogans when speaking to me. In reality, I was deliberately broadcasting a naive aura of youthful, unpolished innocence. by masking my words with that specific generic statement, otherwise appearing far too hyper-intelligent and politically calculated right out of the gate, would inevitably trigger major suspicion and sound alarm bells in a seasoned Titan's mind. Exactly a few days from now in your Huiming County, a high-ranking official will be parachuted directly in to assume the mantle of County Chief Atitik, with a laser-focused mandate to spearhead economic transformation and catalyze massive foreign investments, to aggressively force Huiming into the ranks of the nation's top 100 economic powerhouses. I fully intend to personally sign the executive order, to deploy you straight into the Huaming County government as the elite assistant to the county chief, while simultaneously executing the role of acting director of the county government general office. Your operational deployment will land exactly one step ahead of the incoming county chief, allowing you to infiltrate Huiming County first to dissect the local political landscape and pave a completely flawless operational path forward, ensuring you are fully prepared to synchronize seamlessly with the new chief's grand strategy. Do you possess the resolve to accept this high-stakes assignment? My eyes instantly widened in sheer unadulterated shock, even with the cheat code of being reincarnated from a past life. This breakneck speed of political advancement was mind-bogglingly rapid and exceptionally secure, leaping from a ground-level traffic enforcement grunt straight into the dual role of Chief Confidential Secretary and Acting Director of the General Office, while securing an immediate official fast-track promotion to Deputy Section Chief rank, was a vertical ascent that left even a battle-hardened soul like me completely, utterly staggered. Furthermore, I could instantly read between the lines. Tang Fengnian fully intended to embed me as the ultimate trusted eyes and ears for this incoming superstar leader. As for handing me the elite mantle of acting director, that move was strictly calculated to hypercharge my structural authority, ensuring I possessed the raw institutional leverage to execute high-stakes operations without friction. Regarding this strategic blueprint I've mapped out for you, what are your immediate thoughts? Give me your raw, unfiltered perspective right this second. My analytical mind instantly kicked into hyperdrive processing variables at a blistering velocity. If a generic, low-tier official stood in my current shoes, they would blindly assume that Tang Fengnian was merely favoring them out of pure admiration and throwing them a massive promotional bone. Or perhaps view it as a direct transaction to repay the life-saving debt owed for rescuing his daughter. Driven by that naive logic, they would immediately cave to their base instincts and start chanting empty declarations of absolute loyalty or rehearsing robotic, bureaucratic platitudes. But the current me possessed a deeply calculating, razor-sharp strategic consciousness, and I instantly sniffed out the heavy, unmistakable scent of elite factional warfare. Deploying me as the assistant chief and acting director wasn't the core variable at play. The absolute life or death question was exactly which political powerhouse I would be serving under. Exactly which heavyweight leader you are serving as an assistant to is what truly matters. Tang Fengnian had clearly mapping out this grand strategy way ahead of schedule, orchestrating the precise drop of a high-tier political heavyweight into Huiming County. His meticulous selection of my profile was fundamentally meant to armor his incoming county chief with a fiercely loyal, lethally efficient vanguard, acting as their right-hand weapon, perfectly weaponized to execute highly sensitive, off-the-books wet work behind the scenes. That was his genuine ultimate endgame. Now that I had completely diagnosed his hidden agenda, I could effortlessly formulate the exact perfect psychological response. Uncle Tang, although I haven't officially managed a general office or served as a lead secretary before, I understand with absolute clarity that my prime directive is to absorb every ounce of pressure from my superior, maintain peak operational agility at all times, and seamlessly synchronize with every tactical maneuver and executive vision mandated by my direct commander. When the directives are perfectly transparent, I will execute them flawlessly. When the directives are veiled in classified shadows, I will execute them with equal lethal precision. Those few hyper-targeted syllables struck with absolute sniper-like precision right into the core of Tang Fengnian's hidden agenda. Judging by the immediate shift in his stoic facial expression, Tang Fengnian was profoundly visibly ecstatic. Excellent. That is an absolutely flawless response. Tomorrow morning, you will officially report directly to the organization department of the Huaming County Committee. A dedicated handler will be waiting to escort you into the county government to finalize your transition protocols. Understood. Consider it done, Uncle Tang. Uncle Tang, if I may be permitted to ask a single tactical question, exactly 2 weeks from now, who is the elite powerhouse being parachuted in as the new Huiming County Chief? For now, I'm going to leave that specific detail as a brilliant little riddle for you to solve. The absolute second they touch down on the tarmac, everything will become crystal clear to you. Alright, enough of this heavy bureaucracy. Now that our formal alliance is locked in, let's step back out into the light and wage another war on the go board. A young kid of your generation, how on earth did you master such a god-tier, highly calculated style of play? Haha, as long as it brings you joy, Uncle Tang. The absolute second you crave a strategic match, simply summon me with a single phone call. Ha ha ha, marvelous, let's move. The two of them casually strolled back into the grand living room, where the flawlessly elegant traditional matriarch Liu Fengyi had already completely cleared away every single trace of the massive dinner feast and meticulously restored the entire common area to absolute perfection. Dad, are you seriously forcing him into another match? I actually have highly critical matters to discuss with Brother Yang Sheikh. Hold your horses for just a moment, Shuiyan. In our previous skirmish, your old man actually suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of young Yang. This absolute disrespect simply cannot stand. I am legally mandated to drag him into a brutal rematch right this second. Tang Shuiyan was completely left speechless, whispering to herself that she had never once witnessed her stoic father showing this level of unadulterated, fanatical infatuation toward any young prospect before. Liu Fengyi could only offer a deeply amused, helpless sigh. Your father is simply behaving like this because he has a profound, insatiable obsession with elite talent. Before long, the intense psychological warfare of the Go match violently commenced once more. The two of us had barely deployed our initial stones and mapped out the battle lines, when a sudden, sharp knocking violently disrupted the silence. Secretary Tang, it's Zhao Dong from the Linjiang Municipal Bureau. Zhao Dong. Tang Fengnian instantly abandoned his go pieces and lowered his hand. Enter, crossing the threshold and witnessing me casually chilling right inside the party secretary's private sanctuary. Zhao Dong was visibly taken aback, yet at the same time not entirely shocked. He just hadn't anticipated that my vertical ascent would accelerate at such a breakneck pace, and that I had already advanced to sharing a strategic game board with the Titan himself. This kid is a certified genius. He perfectly understands how to play right into the old man's fanatical obsessions. Secretary Tang, I have an urgent operational brief to deliver. Perhaps, catching the implicit subtext hanging heavily in the room. I immediately pushed back my seat and stood up. Secretary Tang, in that case, maybe I should take my leave first. There is absolutely no need. He is officially one of our own now. Zhao Dong, proceed with the debrief right here. Zhao Dong's jaw practically hit the floor. He's already locked into the inner circle. Understood, Secretary Tang. In strict accordance with your executive directives. The operational blueprint for the decapitation strike and the sweeping raids is fully finalized. Please review the tactical parameters. I have officially designated this high-stakes offensive as Operation 1209, pending your supreme approval. Our tactical units will execute simultaneous breach and arrest maneuvers at precisely 2 a.m. tonight. Every single scum who dared to lay a finger on Shuiyan will be systematically hunted down. I personally guarantee that absolutely no one escapes the net. As Tang Fengnian began scanning the heavily classified written brief, my heart violently skipped a beat. Operation 1209. Why on earth did that specific operational designation sound so hauntingly familiar? It was as if that precise sequence of numbers was burned into my core memory. Suddenly, a blinding flash of insight exploded in my brain, and the historical archive of my past life flashed before my eyes. It was precisely this catastrophic Operation 1209 that caused the Linjiang Municipal Bureau to suffer the devastating loss of a Supreme Bureau-level Titan. During the frantic breach, the raid units collided head-on with targets, who were heavily entrenched in an ultra-severe, high-tier narcotics trafficking syndicate. Faced with immediate lifelong execution, the cornered cartel thugs went completely berserk. The bureau chief was riddled with 8 high-caliber rounds, and tragically sacrificed his life on the spot in a horrific bloodbath. The doomed chief scheduled to die tonight is almost certainly Zhao Dong. In my previous timeline, it wasn't until I had successfully climbed to deputy mayor that I was finally granted the security clearance to read the redacted files on this tragedy, which is why the data was etched so deeply into my mind. The moment that realization struck, I reflexively lifted my head, staring directly at this formidable municipal bureau chief. Is this brave man seriously destined to become a cold corpse in just a few short hours? It would be an absolute monumental tragedy to let him walk into his grave. Since I am officially recognized as part of Tang Fengnian's inner circle, and given that I have been granted a second lease on life with my regression, our fates are completely intertwined on the exact same political battlefield. With that being the case, how could I possibly stand by and let him be slaughtered? Furthermore, an elite hypercritical stronghold like the head of the Municipal Bureau is an asset our faction absolutely cannot afford to lose. Meanwhile, over on the couch, Tang Fengnian had finally finished scanning the tactical parameters of the operational blueprint. The tactical preparations are exceptionally thorough. As far as I'm concerned, you are greenlit to initiate the strike. Understood, Secretary Tang. Please provide your executive signature right here. The exact moment the signature was finalized, Zhao Dong respectfully prepared to take his formal leave, to personally spearhead the midnight breach and arrest maneuvers. Hold on for just a second, Chief Zhao. Is there an issue? Yang Jian, do you have some pressing concerns? I rapidly processed the variables in my mind, delivering a highly calculated cryptic warning. For tonight's operational raid, make sure the boys are geared up to the absolute teeth. Specifically, you Chief, you must exercise extreme absolute caution every step of the way. Load up on maximum tactical body armor and bring twice the standard ammunition supply. hearing such a chilling, ominous piece of advice out of nowhere. Xiao Dong's heart violently skipped a beat in sheer bewilderment. What is the subtext here? Why on earth is this rookie officer dropping such a heavy cryptic warning? I quickly pivoted my phrasing, spinning a perfect cover story. For a supreme bureau chief of your stature, to personally put your life on the line in ground-level tactical breaches is an absolute blessing for the citizens of Linjiang. As a humble resident of this city, I am simply offering a heartfelt prayer for your absolute safety, wishing you a flawless victory and a safe return. Zhao Dong couldn't help but burst into a genuinely amused grin. You've got some seriously elite emotional intelligence, kid. Fantastic. I will keep your tactical advice in mind and stay sharp out there. Tang Fengnian also let out a booming hearty laugh. Come, let's get back to the board and finish this savage war of go. Starting Shi Sui Kick. You got it, Uncle Tang. Roughly 30 grueling minutes later, Tang Fengnian's defenses completely crumbled, resulting in his absolute defeat. Brilliant, absolutely phenomenal. It seems I have no choice but to gracefully accept my loss. I guess I really am getting obsolete. Not at all, Uncle Tang. It was only because you intentionally went easy on me several times. Suayan, Tang Fengnian casually projected his voice toward his daughter's room. Didn't you claim you had highly critical matters to discuss with young Yangs? I'll leave you two youngsters to chat freely. It's perfect timing as I have some classified state files that require my immediate attention, with Tang Fengnian retreating into his private sanctuary to handle confidential state files, and Liu Fengyi clearing out the grand living room to begin her daily yoga routine. The two of us stepped outside, casually strolling along the pristine pathways while chatting freely. Tang Shuiyan was breathtakingly gorgeous, radiating an elite youthful charm. Yet walking side by side next to her, there wasn't a single microscopic shred of awkwardness between us. After all, we had forged a deep bond through a literal life and death ordeal. To any random bystander watching from afar, we probably looked exactly like a sweet, high-profile young couple out on a late-night romantic walk. This exact high-stakes psychological opening was precisely what I had been praying for. I swore an ironclad oath to myself right then and there I must successfully lock down Tang Shuiyan. If I failed to capitalize on a golden god-tier opportunity like this, it would be an absolute, unforgivable insult to the heavens for granting me this miraculous second chance at life through regression. So, tell me, is this specific item something you accidentally left behind in the back of my car? Tang Shuiyan elegantly produced a dark emerald green crystal pendant. Oh my absolute god. It was actually in your possession this entire time. I've been frantically hunting for it for 2 whole days, driving myself completely insane with worry. Tang Shuiyan let out a playful, adorable giggle, looking exactly like a cute kitten teasing her owner. Thank you so much, Shuiyan. You have no idea how much this means to me. I was completely convinced that it was lost forever. The loss of this heirloom has had me stressed out to the absolute maximum these past few days. Why on earth are you thanking me? If anyone deserves to express gratitude, it should be me thanking you. If you hadn't risked your entire life to rescue me from that burning wreckage, this precious item wouldn't have slipped out of your pocket in the first place. To be completely honest with you, I've been stuck in a perpetual state of severe post-traumatic shock these past 48 hours. If your heroic intervention hadn't happened, I honestly shudder to imagine just how catastrophic and horrifying the final outcome would have been. A brilliant tactical spark instantly ignited in my brain. In that case, let me break you out of this trauma and show you how to properly unwind. I'll hit you with an elite surprise to completely soothe your frayed nerves. What do you say? Care to roll the dice with me? An elite surprise. Yeah, right, I'll pass. Ever since I was a little girl, I've never experienced anything that truly qualified as a genuine surprise. Well then, you are profoundly, completely mistaken. Out there in the neon-lit wild world, the mind-blowing spectacles are absolutely endless. A sheltered upper-class heiress like yourself has simply been trapped inside the golden cages of high society and deep political estates for far too long, which is exactly why you've grown completely numb to excitement. It looks like I am legally obligated to execute a secondary rescue mission for your soul. As I spoke, I intentionally exaggerated my expressions and threw in a goofy comical face. This spontaneous smooth move instantly broke her icy demeanor, causing Tang Shuiyan to burst into a beautiful hearty laugh. Are you for real? Are you absolutely making a blood oath that this will be wildly entertaining? Tang Shuiyan's gorgeous, shimmering eyes gleamed with raw curiosity. Armed with the comprehensive cutthroat relationship data accumulated across half a lifetime in my previous world, I understood the psychological landscape with absolute clarity. When attempting to capture the heart of a girl from such a supremely noble, hyper-privileged lineage, the entire game plan was practically child's play. Before long, the two of us arrived at a bustling, high-energy amusement park packed with regular local crowds. But after a chaotic night of diving into every single attraction, I honestly believed I had effortlessly completely swept her off her feet, only to be completely blindsided by the fact that Tang Shuiyan actually saw right through my routine, yet casually chose to play along with my little act the entire time. after awkwardly escorting the sharp-witted heiress back to her doorstep. I quickly made my exit as well, cruising along the dark highway on my journey back home. I forced myself to clear my head and deeply analyze the sheer terrifying brilliance and tactical wit possessed by Tang Xueyan. She was, after all, the sole princess raised in the household of the provincial deputy party secretary. Regardless, that night I crashed hard and slept incredibly peacefully, riding an absolute high. At the absolute crack of dawn the very next morning, my front door was violently disrupted by a relentless, aggressive knocking. Throwing the door open to scan the hallway, I was utterly stunned to find Zhao Dong himself completely dressed in casual civilian clothes. Seeing him alive and well was a massive, incredibly refreshing weight off my shoulders. I felt profoundly humbled and privileged by his unannounced arrival, while simultaneously being paralyzed by sheer shock. The absolute catalyst for my staggering disbelief was the undeniable truth that Zhao Dong had successfully cheated death during last night's high-stakes raid. This meant, without a microscopic shred of doubt, that his tragic fate had been single-handedly rewritten by my covert intervention. Moving forward into this brand new future, Zhao Dong was practically guaranteed to become my most fiercely loyal ride-or-die ally in the system. Please come right in, step inside. Chief Zhao, how did the midnight operation go last night? Was the breach and arrest successful? Let me quickly pour you a fresh cup of water. Yang Jian, you are looking at the literal savior of my life, and the savior of every single operative under my command. What on earth happened, Chief Zhao? What could have possibly triggered such a heavy statement? Comrade Yang Jian, certain classified operational parameters and core details of the case are still under lock and key, so I am legally prohibited from giving you a highly detailed breakdown of the bloodbath. But what I can explicitly reveal is that a massive catastrophic variable exploded last night. Thank the heavens we took your chilling, ominous warning seriously right before breaching. I strictly mandated that every single operative max out their magazines and forced them to strap on heavy-duty tactical ballistic vests no matter what. And wouldn't you know it, during the dynamic entry, we collided head-on with a faction of heavily armed psychopathic cartel thugs, who immediately opened fire, engaging us in a savage life-or-death gunfight. Zhao Dong's expression was laced with absolute gravity. Even now, merely recounting the terrifying details of the event sent a violent wave of post-traumatic chills running straight down his spine. If we hadn't received your prophetic hyper-specific warning last night, and had simply charged in blind like we always do, we would have lost at least a dozen elite tactical operatives in that meat grinder, with myself explicitly included among the body count instead, solely due to your brilliant predictive heads up. Not only did we dodge a massive tragedy, but a collective first-class merit award is being handed down straight to our department. And that was the exact undeniable reason why Zhao Dong completely ignored the brutal exhaustion of pulling a sleepless, high-octane all-nighter, rushing over at the break of dawn to express his profound gratitude face-to-face. This was, after all, a literal debt of saving his life, a monumental act of reshaping his entire destiny. I casually waved it off with an unbothered shrug. You came all this way just for that? Chief Zhao, you are blowing this way out of proportion. You and your men are simply blessed with elite divine luck. Besides, I merely dropped a casual offhand suggestion. I don't give a damn if it was casual or not. The cold hard truth is that my very life belongs to you now. Zhao Dong bent forward, executing a profound, deeply respectful bow. I let out a long, slow exhale of intense relief, which is exactly why Chief Zhao, during any high-stakes operation, absolute tactical safety must always remain your number one priority. Spoken like a true brother, Brother Yang now. If I may be so bold as to pry into your future, what specific executionary role does Secretary Tang intend to deploy you into? He mentioned that a high-profile official is being parachuted into Huiming County as the new chief, and he wants me to step in as the chief's confidential secretary. A massive vertical promotion? Once you land, how do you plan to play your hand? I will be executing my duties with absolute blind loyalty for this mystery chief whose name I don't even know yet, serving as their ultimate ride-or-die vanguard. I let out a smooth chuckle, the absolute second those words left my mouth. Zhao Dong couldn't contain himself and burst into a booming laugh. You brilliant little monster. Your sheer intellect is enough to make anyone insanely jealous. The fact that you already comprehend the tactical geometry to this level proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Secretary Tang's trust in you was a flawless bet. However, speaking strictly off the record as a brother, Huaiming County is an exceptionally volatile, highly hazardous political war zone. It is light years away from being as simple as you might think. Secretary Tang's desire to fast-track your promotion is 100% genuine, but this specific appointment is going to test your survival instincts in a brutal trial by fire. The moment variables explode, you must maintain absolute synchronization with the new county chief. Exercise extreme caution and watch your back out there. If Zhao Dong hadn't already formally embraced me as a blood brother in his inner circle, he would have absolutely never leaked such high-level, candid political counsel. But the reality of the situation was, I already possessed a terrifyingly comprehensive understanding of just how twisted the Huiming County Board truly was. A tyrannical local warlord ruled supreme as the party secretary, while his fiercely loyal underboss held the seat of deputy secretary. 3 successive county chiefs had been utterly decimated and politically executed while serving there. This shocking track record alone was lethal proof of just how ruthless the local warlord Zhang Chenggong was when deploying his iron fist to systematically purge any outside opposition. Talk about a relentlessly savage political executioner. I deeply appreciate the elite heads-up brother Zhao. I know exactly how to handle the board. Moving forward once you're on the front lines, if you ever collide with any insurmountable obstacle or local threat, do not hesitate to ring my line immediately. The current chief of the Huaiming County Police Bureau, Liao Changyong, happens to be an elite protege whom I personally trained to see from the ground up. When the timing is right, I'll personally set up a meeting to link the two of you up. That would be an absolute monumental help. Thank you so much. Come on, let's cut this endless loop of corporate politeness between brothers. I've got a massive pile of urgent cases piling up at the bureau, so I must take my leave. Understood. Let me walk you out, armed with the knowledge of a past life. My strategic blueprint was proving to be absolutely flawlessly bulletproof, even before officially stepping foot onto my new battlefield to assume office. My network already scaled all the way up to the provincial deputy party secretary and locked in the supreme commanders of the elite state law enforcement apparatus. With these god-tier chess pieces in play, what could possibly stop me from achieving absolute reigning power this time? Meanwhile, over on Su Qing's end of the board, things were getting immensely agonizing. What left Su Qing completely paralyzed with deep anxiety was the harrowing fact that 3 entire days had already evaporated into thin air. According to the exact historical timeline of her previous life, that mysterious, hyper-supportive netizen should have already leaked the viral footage of her acting as an uncorruptible hero, busting the high-profile drunk driving incident, completely shattering the internet. Public opinion should have violently pivoted entirely to her side by now, and she should have been rapidly extracted from the low-tier traffic enforcement divisions, 3rd Squadron, receiving a fast-track transfer straight into the county government right at that precise moment. Su Qing's smartphone suddenly erupted into a violent ringtone. Snatching the device up to scan the screen, she realized the incoming caller was actually Zhang Kang. Hello? Brother Kang, Su Qing is. I'm afraid we hit a massive roadblock. We can't finalize our official marriage certificate right now. What? We can't get married. Are you out of your mind? What on earth is going on today? Brother Kang, I have already completely given my entire body and soul to you. Yes, I know that. Don't go hyperventilating on me just yet. The current situation is exceptionally volatile and complex. It's highly classified. It's completely unsafe to discuss over an open phone line. I'm heading over to your location right this second. Just stay locked in your hotel room and wait for me. The absolute millisecond the words left his mouth, Zhang Kang abruptly severed the connection. Su Kongke exploded into an absolute rage, and with a sickening smash, she violently hurled her smartphone straight against the hard floorboards. Before long, Zhang Kang hastily breached the hotel suite door. Su Qing, I swear on my life, I am not intentionally trying to play or deceive you. But my old man explicitly laid down the law. The political heat from above is reaching a suffocating critical level right now. Our entire family syndicate has no choice but to lay low and fly completely under the radar for a while. But why, Zhang Kang? I am far from a gullible, easily manipulated woman. By pulling a toxic stunt like this right now, the only logical conclusion is that you purely played me just to conquer my body. No, that's completely wrong. Su Qing, please just shut up and let me explain. Zhang Kang was visibly and utterly wrapped around her little finger, completely under her spell. Remember how I clued you in earlier about my old man pulling massive strings behind the scenes to install me as the chief of the county government office? Well, an aggressive high-level transfer directive was abruptly handed down from the top today. The verified insider intel confirms that an elite county chief's confidential secretary is being deployed here, and he is simultaneously hijacking the vacant seat of the government office director. That's literally impossible, right? Su Qing gasped in absolute paralyzing disbelief. The actual county chief's throne is still completely vacant, yet his personal secretary is arriving ahead of schedule. On top of that, he's executing a dual-role takeover, blitzing and snatching the powerful office director seat right out from under you. Exactly. That is precisely why this whole dynamic is so completely unnatural and unhinged. Zhang Kang spat out the words, his face flushing with raw pent-up rage. My old man strictly analyzed the board and concluded that the upper management is gearing up to unleash a devastating purge on Huiming County. During this hyper-volatile window, far too many powerful heads have rolled from the provincial level down to the municipal tier. You're well aware that even a titan like Ding Fuzhen has been systematically locked behind bars. We are legally obligated to dial back our operations to absolute zero and meticulously reevaluate the entire political chessboard. Zhang Kong desperate clutched Su Qing's pristine, delicate hands. So listen to me, Su Qing. Not only must our high-profile marriage plans be put on ice immediately, but my ascension to the government office director seat is also indefinitely frozen. You absolutely have to be patient and understand our family's survival strategy here. Su Qing felt a wave of profound suffocating exhaustion crush her soul. She was utterly bewildered as to why the timeline was diverging so drastically from her previous life. In fact, even with Zhang Kong's career path catastrophically running off the tracks, she wasn't even feeling that immensely panicked about him. The true catalyst for her blinding anxiety was that viral drunk driving footage. It was as if the golden gears of her preordained destiny had suddenly jammed shut with a sickening grind, refusing to budge even a microscopic fraction of an inch. Su Qing, the high-profile new office director, is officially reporting for duty today. So I am legally required to head down and kiss the ring of this incoming superior. Frankly, I'm also profoundly intrigued myself. I want to see with my own eyes exactly what kind of legendary, untouchable power player this new county government office director truly is. Fine, whatever. Su Qing had completely run out of the mental patience required to coddle and stroke the ego of this absolute clown. Meanwhile, across town at the sprawling Huiming County government headquarters, the clock aggressively struck 10 a.m. The high-tier handlers from the Municipal Party Committee's organization department, armed with official credentials, escorted me directly into the inner sanctum of the county organization department. Even though a government office director title carries real operational authority, the actual rank itself isn't exceptionally high, meaning elite county committee leaders aren't legally required to welcome you. However, in my specific case backing this dual director title, I also wore the high-profile, highly influential hat of assistant county chief. So while the tyrannical county party secretary Zhang Chenggong chose to skip, the powerful deputy party secretary Pan Hongbin explicitly made an appearance. Greetings, Secretary Pan. I am Hong Do from the Municipal Organization Department. Welcome, welcome, Director Hong. So you did. Secretary Pan here are Comrade Yang Jian's official transfer credentials. The county committee and the county government will now jointly process Comrade Yang Jian's formal executive onboarding procedures. Following that, both sides exchanged a series of highly calculated, rehearsed corporate platitudes. And within minutes, the entire bureaucratic transition was fully locked and loaded. I was then personally escorted by the county committee office director Duan Bing, straight to my brand new grand sanctuary, the government office director's suite. I must confess, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Director Yang is actually so staggeringly young, On top of that, far too many powerful heads have rolled from the municipal tier. You're well aware that even a titan like Ding Fuzhen has been systematically locked behind bars. We are legally obligated to dial back our operations to absolute zero and meticulously reevaluate the entire political chessboard. Zhang Kong desperately clutched Su Qing's pristine, delicate hand. So listen to me, Su Qing. Not only must our high-profile marriage plans be put on ice immediately, but my ascension to the government office director seat is also indefinitely frozen. You absolutely have to be patient and understand our family's survival strategy here. Su Qing felt a wave of profound, suffocating exhaustion crush her soul. She was utterly bewildered as to why the timeline was diverging so drastically from her previous life. In fact, even with Zhang Kong's career path catastrophically running off the tracks, she wasn't even feeling that immensely panicked about him. The true catalyst for her blinding anxiety was that viral drunk driving footage. It was as if the golden gears of her preordained destiny had suddenly jammed shut with a sickening grind, refusing to budge even a microscopic fraction of an inch. Su Qing, the high-profile new office director, is officially reporting for duty today. So I am legally required to head down and kiss the ring of this incoming superior. Frankly, I'm also profoundly intrigued myself. I want to see with my own eyes exactly what kind of legendary, untouchable power player this new county government office director truly is. Fine, whatever. Su Qing had completely run out of the mental patience required to coddle and stroke the ego of this absolute clown. Meanwhile, across town at the sprawling Huiming County government headquarters, the clock aggressively struck 10 a.m. The high-tier handlers from the Municipal Party Committee's organization department, armed with official credentials, escorted me directly into the inner sanctum of the county organization department. Even though a government office director title carries real operational authority, the actual rank itself isn't exceptionally high, meaning elite county committee leaders aren't legally required to welcome you. However, backing this dual director title, sitting right above it, I also wore the high-profile, highly influential hat of assistant county chief. So while the tyrannical county party secretary Zhang Chenggong chose to skip, the powerful deputy party secretary Pan Hongbin explicitly made an appearance. Greetings, Secretary Pan. I am Hong Dong from the Municipal Organization Department. Welcome, welcome, Director Hong. Director Hong here are Comrade Yang Jian's official transfer credentials. The county committee and the county government will now jointly process Comrade Yang Jian's formal executive onboarding procedures. Following that, both sides exchanged a series of highly calculated, rehearsed corporate platitudes. And within minutes, the entire bureaucratic transition was fully locked and loaded. I was then personally escorted by the county committee office director Duan Bing straight to my brand new grand sanctuary, the government office director's suite. I must confess, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Director Yang is actually so staggeringly young. To leap directly from a low-tier traffic police squad straight into a deputy section-level position, while pulling a full section-level executive salary is genuinely enough to make anyone insanely jealous. In the ruthless political arena, reading between the lines is an essential survival skill, especially since anyone who has climbed up the administrative ranks has grown thick skin. Every single one of them is a hyper-calculating, clever fox. He was clearly testing the waters, trying to slyly dig up intel on who was backing me. I let out a bitter, silent laugh, my powerful political backing. Hell, I didn't even know who my true ultimate patron was myself. The actual county chief hasn't even arrived on the battlefield yet. And here I am, the personal secretary, touching down ahead of schedule. What kind of legendary backing could I possibly have? On the flip side, this clumsy little probing move by Duan Bing instantly exposed the glaring fact that he was running errands and scouting intel for someone else. He was completely broadcasting his ulterior motives. This is all thanks to the grand strategic deployment of the organization. I'm simply a loyal soldier obeying executive commands. Director Duan, I deeply appreciate you showing me the ropes and guiding me here. Thank you for your hard work. Sensing that his fishing expedition was yielding absolutely zero data, Duanbing tactfully decided not to push his luck or overplay his hand. Director Yang, the lower tier administrative staff will be arriving shortly to handle the specific handovers and deliver their official operational briefs to you. If you require any specialized internal materials or run into any operational bottlenecks, simply head over to the secretarial section and look for Comrade Xiao Hongye. He has been strictly mandated to fully coordinate with your office and support your workflow. Understood? Thank you for the guidance, Director Dwayne. Don't mention it. Furthermore, either tonight or sometime tomorrow evening, the powerful Deputy Secretary of the County Committee PAN will be hosting an elite welcoming banquet in your honor. Once you familiarize yourself with the current files, please map out your schedule accordingly. Understood, thank you. The moment I finally escorted Duan Bing out of the room, my gaze immediately locked onto the massive executive desk, where a dense towering mountain of classified paperwork and dossiers had already piled up into a massive imposing mountain of paperwork. Every single one of these official documents had been freshly printed within the last 48 hours. The fresh printer ink on some of them was practically still warm, yet not a single soul had stepped forward to brief me, nor had there been any strategic coordination whatsoever. This subtle administrative ambush was clearly orchestrated by someone specifically targeting me. It looks like before I even officially set foot inside this building, certain shadowy players were already plotting to completely sabotage my career. I let out a cold, self-deprecating chuckle, casually flipping through the mountain of paperwork. I found a chaotic mess of various municipal government dossiers, everything from infrastructure budgets for bridge and road repairs, to highly complex agricultural development blueprints. It was a relentless avalanche of dense, hyper-complicated documents, requiring final executive review signatures and approvals. It was blindingly obvious that my high-stakes role as the incoming vanguard was going to be an uphill battle. However, I didn't feel a single microscopic shred of fear, having been granted a second lease on life. I profoundly understood the grand strategic intent of Party Secretary Tang Fengnian. My mission was to exploit this exact window before the new county chief officially arrived, to prepare an absolute bombshell of a welcome gift for my incoming superior, armed with the god-tier cheat code of my past life's memories. Unearthing a corrupt, high-ranking official to publicly execute on the political altar was going to be an absolute walk in the park for me. Right at that exact high-stakes moment, a polite, rhythmic knocking echoed through my office door. Greetings, Director Yang. I am Xiao Hongye from the secretarial section. The absolute second my eyes locked onto this Xiao Hongye, I couldn't help but feel a sudden spark of intrigue. She appeared to be right in her prime at around 27 or 28 years old, radiating the flawless professional aura suited for a top-tier executive assistant. I never expected Director Yang to be such a staggeringly young, breathtakingly handsome man. It looks like working under you is going to be an absolute dream come true for me. Hearing her provocative opening line, I couldn't help but freeze in sheer amazement. Was she seriously throwing herself at me this overtly on day one? Meanwhile, over in the inner sanctum of the powerful county committee Deputy Secretary Pain Hongbin, Office Director Duan Bing had just arrived to deliver his official intelligence brief. Well, Duan Bing, did you manage to extract any valuable intel on his background? If scared. What kind of legendary powerhouse is backing this punk? He completely locked down, sir. He didn't leak a single syllable. His operational security is incredibly tight. He definitely possesses some real tactical wit, but it's nothing game-changing. On top of that, he is ridiculously young. He charged into our territory acting like an elite vanguard. So I honestly expected some battle-hardened political veteran. Have all the landmines and trap files been successfully deployed into his tray? I have already dispatched Xiao Hongye to fully coordinate and link up with him. Every single catastrophic bad debt deficit and corrupted ledger from the previous quarter has been piled directly onto the government office. Since he is currently stepping in as the acting director, the legal obligation to sign off and approve those toxic files falls squarely on his shoulders. Do you honestly believe a sharp kid like him will just blindly walk into our trap? Of course he won't be completely gullible or compliant. However, Xiao Hongye has been grinding away in the secretarial first section as a deputy chief for 8 long years. For her to totally manipulate a green wet behind the ears amateur like him is going to be an absolute walk in the park. Ha ha ha, spoken like a true strategist. Pen Hongbin blew a thick, slow ring of cigarette smoke into the air, unable to suppress a dark, mocking laugh. This punk will either sign those papers and take the fall for our deficits, or he'll realize he's completely outmatched and tuck his tail. My bet is that if he has a single brain cell, long before his precious new county chief touches down, he'll pack up his pathetic belongings and get the hell out. Furthermore, Secretary Zhang shares this exact unyielding sentiment. Before the new chief arrives, whether he likes it or not, we make him pack his bags. Duanbing nodded along like a loyal henchman. Without a shadow of a doubt, Secretary Pan, I almost feel a tiny bit bad for the poor little bastard. He honestly bought into the illusion that he was getting a god-tier promotion, only to have his career savagely executed before his seat even gets warm. Talk about a completely brutal, unmitigated disaster. If you crunch the historical data, he's officially about to become the shortest-lived government office chief in history. Whether his career survives or dies is completely irrelevant. What truly matters is sending a chilling absolute message to the incoming county chief that his hand-picked vanguard on this Huaiming County turf will be violently deplatformed the exact second he reports for duty. Duanbing chose to remain silent and push no further, knowing damn well that this flavor of cutthroat political backstabbing was standard operating procedure. In his own ruthless ascent from a bottom-tier invisible clerk, all the way up to the powerful throne of county committee office director, he had literally pawned off his own wife's dignity more times than he cared to remember. By the way, Duanbing, this mysterious new county chief's true identity and background, have you still failed to unearth a single shred of intel? Secretary Zhang is getting exceptionally restless over there. He keeps pressing me for data. I'm still completely locked out, sir. The upper management's operational security on this file is absolutely impenetrable. But rest assured, Secretary Pans, I'm actively mobilizing every single elite connection in my network, putting everything on the line. Good. It's not that we absolutely need to compromise their file ahead of schedule, but since we will all be serving as comrades within the exact same leadership circle, securing a little tactical foresight ultimately ensures we can coordinate our workflows much more effectively. I read you loud and clear. Secretary Pan, I know exactly how to play this board. Meanwhile, having been granted a second lease on life, I understood the game all too well. In the grand hyper-calculating political arena outside of rigid nepotism, and deeply entrenched ride-or-die mentor-protege alliances being relatively stable, everyone else is entirely devoid of genuine camaraderie. They are all ruthless adversaries waiting for you to slip. Therefore, when dealing with this hyper-flirtatious secretarial first section chief Xiao Hongye, I merely skimmed the surface, playing along with her game by matching her energy, yet keeping my true guard absolutely ironclad. Secretary Xiao, you certainly possess a silver tongue. Showering your superior with such blatant flattery makes it impossible to counter. But Director, I'm merely stating the absolute undeniable facts our entire government office hasn't seen such a staggeringly young and charismatic leader in ages. I appreciate the compliment, Secretary Xiao. Now let's talk about this massive mountain of paperwork. What exactly is the play here? The second the casual banter evaporated, I cut straight through the noise to the core issue. I've already done a rapid high-level review of these dossiers. Basic administrative line items like county-managed official heating allowances and winter transportation subsidies are completely stalled. Yet not a single executive has bothered to sign off on them. The winter season is practically over, for crying out loud, and these essential funds haven't even been audited or distributed yet. What on earth are the deputy directors even doing to earn their paychecks? If the seats of the county chief and the government office director had remained vacant for 3 years, were these critical funds meant to just sit frozen in the county treasury for 3 whole years without reaching the staff? I aggressively pivoted the trajectory of the conversation, instantly locking into full operational mode. This sudden sharp shift visibly caught Xiao Hongye completely off guard. Could she have actually run into an absolute unyielding workaholic? Well, the reality is like this. because the roles of county chief and office director have been vacant for so long. A massive administrative backlog naturally piled up. What you see on your desk right now is merely the tip of the iceberg. There is an even larger hyper-urgent batch of files currently pending, which our secretarial section is actively auditing and organizing as we speak. Is that so? This mountain is just a minor fraction of the chaos umakej. Well then, I suppose the more capable one is the heavier the burden they must carry. Director, if you encounter any ambiguous clauses or roadblocks, or if you require my personal coordination to streamline the workflow, feel free to summon me at any given moment. First, I need you to fetch the comprehensive roster and background profiles of all core personnel within the government office. I need to meticulously review the background data of my new colleagues. Understood. However, these specific financial files are under a strict time crunch, so please prioritize stamping your executive signature on them as soon as possible. Right, I'm on it. Though my lips offered a casual agreement, my inner resolve remained entirely unfazed and completely suspicious. In this game, leaving a paper trail and signing off on fiscal ledgers might sound like tedious, mundane paperwork to an amateur. But in reality, the legal liability attached to it is extraordinarily lethal. Whoever signs the paperwork inherits the legal liability. Whoever endorses the ledger takes the absolute blame. You never ever blindly sign anything. Before long, Xiao Hongye exited the suite and promptly returned. Here is the comprehensive background dossier on our core leadership team. Director Yang, she gently placed the thick folder onto my desk. You're dismissed. Furthermore, summon every single active member of the staff to the main hall for an emergency briefing. It's time we do an internal face-to-face meet and greet. Is there an issue with that request? Oh, it's completely doable, sir. However, a handful of our agents are currently deployed on external field operations, so the entire department isn't physically stationed at headquarters right now. Then simply round up whoever is currently on site and march them in. I casually flipped open the dense classified dossier, and my gaze instantly locked onto a highly triggering familiar name. Government Office Deputy Director Zhang Kang. Well, talk about a wicked twist of fate. I had completely forgotten about this absolute piece of human garbage. In my previous life, this pathetic clown held the exact same title of Deputy Director, and it looks like history repeated itself in this timeline as well. But since he was nothing more than an insignificant lower tier pawn on my board, I had never bothered to give him a second thought. Who would have guessed that now that I've seized the throne as the new acting director, my literal direct subordinate would turn out to be him? This is absolutely beautifully poetical. The universe just handed me the perfect target. Secretary Xiao, I need you to immediately contact